Hello and welcome again to this channel. If you are a returning viewer, please consider subscribing and then set up the notification button so that when a new video is dropped, you get a notification. Today we'll be looking at the three different Stata files that you cannot do without if you need to work with Stata. First, we have the data file, which has a .dta extension. We have the do file, which has a .do extension, and then a log file that can have two different extensions. The SMLCL extension and then the .log extension. The data file, is the file that has the data that you need to work on, which is the reason you are using Stata in the first place. Otherwise, if you do not have a data set, what are you working on? So to look through this, let me just open an example data file from Stata. Okay, we have a sample data set. We can see that we now have variables here. This is the same data set that I used for the last video. Now, the data in any Stata data set is arranged in a rectangular manner, where the columns represent the variables or the characteristics of observations that have been made. So, for example, if you have collected data from individuals, the age, whether the person is male or female, represents the variables of interest for which you have collected data for each individual, while the individuals that you have collected data from are referred to as records or observations, and then they appear in rows. So if you want to look at that here, from here you can just click on data editor, and then it will open up the data set for you in this format. And you can also, this window here has this 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. You can also modify the size, as you can see here. So you can expand or reduce this. This can also do the same thing for the property windows as well. You are able to either raise it up or bring it down. Okay, so this is what the dataset looks like. And if you remember in our last video, we talked about the disadvantage of looking at your data in the edit mode. If you look at the top here, you see that this is in edit mode, and I'll see at the bottom part here, you see that it's in edit mode, right? So I can close this. And now, instead of coming here to open this data editor, I could easily have typed edit here, and I will get the same result, right? So it's this, like I said, we look at the different Stata commands and then how and when to use them in due course. If I need to view this data set in a mode that does not allow me to be able to edit it in error, I can just type BR here. BR is short for browse. So you see that it opens it again in a spreadsheet-like format. So only this time you can see, instead of edit, what you are seeing here is browse, meaning that it is only in a view mode, so you can't make any edits to the data like we discussed in the last video. Instead of typing BR, I could have just typed the browse completely. And to give me the same thing. So this, what I'm saying here is the fact that Stata commands can be abbreviated. Now, there is no standard format for abbreviation. So different users abbreviate commands based on their preference, right? So this is with the data file. Now, how do you create a Stata data file? You can create a Stata data file in several ways, either manually typing entries into the spreadsheet that would be presented to you, or you can copy and paste into it, and then you can use command, or you can use other third-party softwares to transport or to transfer data into a Stata file. All right. So if you want to create a file, let me say we have an empty file. So for that, so to demonstrate that, let me clear out this data that we have here. All I need to do is to type clear here. And you see that the variables here have all gone away, meaning this file is now empty, does not have any data anymore. So if I, for example, if I do browse, you can see that it's empty right now. So there's no data here. But since we want to create a data file, remember we said that if it's in browse mode, you cannot edit it. So that means even if I try to enter data, I won't be able to do so. So you can hear the laptop making the sound of not being able to enter data. So I can come back and type edit here. So now it will open up the page for me to enter data. You see that this is now in edit mode, meaning I can edit it. So I can type 2 here and then move to the next cell. I type 3, move to the next cell, I type 4. So this depending on the data that I have to enter into Stata or the data set that I want to create. All right, so you can do this manually. And you can, as you can see, it has created 4 different variables because I typed, even though this is one row, so this is one record or one observation, I've typed 4 different variables into it. So that's why you see variable 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can decide to name these variables, right? I can decide to give them names depending on what are the variables of interest that I collected data on. So if I want to name these variables, I'll need to go back to this portion here where I can come here and click on variable manager, and then I can put the name, put the label, and let me just do for the first one. Let's say this first one is age, right? I say age of respondent, and then apply. So you can see that it has changed that here, right? So the age and age of respondent. When you come to this place, you will see the same thing. It has changed to age, right? So for, let's say this next one is the sex of the respondent. I can, instead of coming through that place, I can just type. Okay, so I type rename. What is the name of the variable? This is variable 2 that I want to change the name. So I just type the name here, sex. As you can see, it has changed it to sex. And I can label it from here direct. So label. Again, I can write it in full. I can decide to abbreviate it. Like I said earlier, it depends on the preference of the user. Label variable sex of respondents, and see that has happened. That is one way to enter data into Stata manually. Like I said, you can copy and paste into it, but whatever you need to make sure that whatever you're copying is in this format, is in the spreadsheet-like format or tabular format. Then you can use different commands to create a Stata file, and we'll talk about all this at a later time, like I've said. And then you have an app called Start Transfer. It's a third-party app that you can purchase and install, and then use it to convert any kind of data that you have into a Stata file. So this is how these are the different methods in which you can use to create a Stata file or a Stata data file. The next thing that we want to do will be to look at a do file. Let me open one. So open a new do file. So Stata data sets can be manipulated in one of 3 ways. One, by typing commands directly into the command window. So that is typing command directly into this window. The second method is by use of menus and the toolbars, like we have discussed previously. So the menus and then the toolbars to manipulate data that you have in any Stata data file. And then a third option is the use of a do file. Using a do file usually is more effective because it makes it easier for you to reproduce your work. It makes it easier for you to reproduce your work And if for any reason you change your mind about any step that you have taken previously, you can come back and easily make changes to the relevant section of the do file instead of repeating the entire process, as would be the case if you had used any of the other two options. More importantly, someone else can review the do file and easily understand what you had done and the reason for doing them, provided you have properly commented the do file. Commenting means writing by the side of every syntax or command that you have written, the reason why you wrote that command and what you wanted it to achieve. That is what it means to comment the do file. So it simply means that the do file is a text file that contains a series of Stata commands with comments or explanatory notes. And once the do file is completed and ready to use, you can run all the commands automatically by clicking the do button. So as you can see, the do file also has a menu bar and also has a tools bar. So here you have the file that again has all the different options that you can use to open a new file and use to open a previously created file. If you want to close it, to save, to print, and preview, and all that. And then you have the edit menu that can be used. You have the view menu that can be used to look at different things. Now these ones that are, you can see that they are not highlighted simply because there is nothing written. This file is still empty, so there are no options for you to be able to click on. Right. So for example, if I type something here and I say use, you can see that they are not activated for you to be able to click on them, right? So even though this command that I've written here, I just wrote something just to show you what you can do with that button there called tools. And as you can see, this this is untitled because I've not named it, I've not saved it. And then you have this asterisk here, and this one here. You can also see that this save icon here is highlighted. It's saying it means that you've made a change. You have made a change to the file that you have not saved. So let me just type something here. If I save it, let me save as. Let me just testing. You can see now that the asterisk has disappeared from here. This is no longer highlighted and it has also disappeared from here. If I make any other addition, let's see, you can see that the asterisk is back here, and then this is also highlighted for me to be able to click on it and save. Once I click save again, see that's gone away. So that this, as you're using your do file, you need to pay attention to these areas so that if you need to save your work, you go ahead and save so that you don't lose anything you have done. And this is very important, especially when you have used a do file to open your data file. But if you open a data file using your do file and you for any reason close that data file, your do file will also close automatically, even though it will give you the option of saving whatever changes that you have made. Yeah, it will open up a dialog box, so you ask you if you want to save the changes that you have made. However, it is always best for you to pay attention to those areas and then to make sure that you try not to close your data file first before closing your do file, so that you don't lose any work that you have done in your do file that you forgot to save. Okay, so let's talk about the tools bar of this of the do file. So this is as you can see, if you want to put your cursor here, it gives you a hint of what you can do with each of the buttons. So clicking on this will open a new file. There is a new do file. This will open a file that is already in existence. This is to save it. This is to print. This is to help you to search. Now, sometimes, for example, you have a long do file and you're looking for something in particular, you cannot scroll through. You can click here. It brings out a dialog box for you to type in what you want, what you're looking for, and then you will click. So once I type something here, you see this becomes highlighted because now I can click on it to search, right? If there's nothing here, you see it is grayed out, so it is not active. And then you have these scissors can be used to cut. This can be used to copy if you want to copy any aspect of the work that you have done, then use can be used to paste. Here is to undo, this is to redo, and then these are bookmarks. So they work just like the search button. What the bookmark does is you can bookmark your different sections of your. So let me demonstrate this so you can see it. So for example, I have this. Just so you see how it functions. I can put my cursor here and click on this toggle bookmark. You can see this arrow here that has been created, right? I can put another one here and toggle it. So you see another arrow is here. And put another one, can put another one here and click on toggle. So what this means is that if I'm trying to look for any section of the work that I have done, I can just come here and click on either previous or the next bookmark. If I click this, you can see that my cursor has come down to this place directly where this last bookmark is. If I click on previous, you can see the cursor has come back to this place. If I click on previous again, you see it has come to the first part. So this is how the bookmark, what you use it to do. So this is to show file in viewer. If I click on it, you can see it has created a different file with all these items that I have typed. So I hardly make use of it anyway. So that is, then the last button here is the do button or execute button, which is what you use to execute any command that has been written here. Now, these are just items that I type without any use, just to show you how bookmark works. I will delete it. So for you to use a do file to manipulate a data file, you will need to use that do file to open the data file. So that means the data file will need to be created with the command required to open the do file, with the commands required to open the data file, such that every other command that is written in the do file can be executed on the data file that has been opened using the do file, which is why when you close the data file, the do file will also close. The other thing that you need to note is that the do file will have three different colors. So for example, when you type a command, commands usually will appear in blue in the do file, while your variable will appear in black. So if you want to put a comment, remember I said you need to comment it to explain to whoever is looking at your do file what you have done. For you to put a comment, you need to use the two backward slash, and then you can now type in using age. So you can see that this is in green color. Now, if for any reason you have a command that you do not want to implement, what you can do will be also to comment it out by using the asterisk. You can see that once I put asterisk in front of it, everything turns green. So even if you select it when you are executing your command, it will not execute, because you have asked, by putting this asterisk sign here, you have told Stata that this command is no longer relevant for you, do not want to use it. So Stata will ignore it whenever you run your do file. And then the third file that we'll talk about is a log file. A log file is a file that keeps track of everything that you do during any Stata session. So it makes a record of the commands used and the corresponding output, as well as any comments made. The comments made will only appear in the log file if you are working from your do file. If you are typing your command directly in the command box, in the command box here, you will not be able to add comments. Because if you add comments, you will get an error message. So please take note of that. Now, the log file can have two extensions. You can have the SMCL extension, which means Stata Markup Control Language, or you can have a .log extension. Now, the advantage of the .smcl extension is that it produces better quality when you are printing compared to the .log file, which is basically a text file. Now, the disadvantage of the SMCL file is the fact that, one, you are not able to modify it if you need to make any edits, and then two, you cannot share with somebody who does not have Stata. In other words, it can only be opened on a system that has Stata installed. However, you can actually convert it from SMCL to a .log file or even a PDF file using the translate command. But when we start looking at the different commands, we will talk about all this. But in any case, if you're opening a log file and you do not specify to Stata that you do not want it to carry a .log extension, it will automatically by default open it as an SMCL file. So let's do an example. So if you come here and click on log, when you say begin, it will open up a place for you where you need to save the file, because you need to save it for it to become active. So let's call this testing. You can see that by default it comes as SMCL. So what I need to do, I can click here and then change it to a .log file. So with a .log file, it becomes a text file and I can share it with anybody. It can be used in any word processor, right? But if I leave it as SMCL, then somebody who does not have Stata will not be able to use it. That is, will not be able to open it. So let me save it. So once I save it, see, it tells you that this log file has been opened. So anything that any action that I carry out here will be stored automatically in that log file, and I can use it at a later time. So for example, when you say tab price, now we can come here. I can either type here, I can either type log close here, or I can come here and say close. So let's look for the folder where I saved this log file, and then open it so you can see what we just did. So this is the folder here. This is the log file. I'm not interested in checking for update at the moment, so I just say check for update in 7 days time. So you can see this is the document now open, right? So now I cannot modify it because it's carrying a .smcl. So like I said, we can back to the file that we're using to work. So like I said, I can translate it into a text file, right, using the translate command. So I copy this. This is the directory where the log file that we created is. So right, I'll now do this. So I want to translate it into SMCL file. So I'll just do this and then change this one to txt and then click enter. So if we go back to that folder, you can see it has converted it into a text file. So now if I want to delete, I can do whatever modification I want. Don't save. So this is how to use the log file. Now, the other thing that we can do, we also have, there's what we call command log. It's another form of log file where you can save only the command that you have executed. The output will not show when you use the command log. So if I want to create a command log, let me do this, copy this part here so it is easier for us to do. So I can do Can do the say cmd log, meaning you should create a command log, and the command log should be saved in this directory. So I'll call the name testing2. So you can see that we have done this twice and I got 2 errors. What is missing here? What is missing is the fact that I failed to specify to put this using. So I want you to create a file using this part. I didn't include that here, so which is why I got this error message. So whenever you get error message in Stata, you just need to look at the error message to identify what you may have done wrong. So you can see now it has opened it. So if we type here like we did previously, tab price and do this, it has done the same thing. You can now close the log file by typing command log close. So it has closed it. So if you go to that folder, you see it here. And when you open it, you can see that it's only tab price and command log close that we have there. The output did not show, unlike the first example that we did. So this is an introduction to the 3 different types of files that you regularly will work with when you work with Stata. Thank you again for listening, and see you next time.